Hi, Stacy here from Kingdom Kids. Today is another video in our training series, and today we're going to talk about how young children learn best. So there's 3 ways that we're going to cover, and that is by example, by your tone of voice, and by using multiple senses. Children are really concrete thinkers at this age, and so using multiple senses and making things as concrete as possible are the best ways to get them to understand some of these concepts, which can be pretty abstract. So we're going to start with the best story in the Bible, in my opinion, which is the story of Jesus' birth. Now I have a children's Bible here, and this is something that I would use for maybe the 3s, depending on your group, the 4s, and the 5s. And with this, you can just read the story, and there's a couple of tips that you can use if the children start to lose interest or fidgeting around. So if we're reading this story, we can say, Gabriel was an angel. He obeyed God. Sometimes he took special news from God to people on earth. Does anyone see the angel? What is he wearing? What color is it? Who can raise their hand and tell me? So this is a way that we can re-engage them back with the story and bring their attention back to the book, because it's a question where they have to look up to find the answer here. And because of the competitive nature of children of this age, they generally want to be the one that answers the question. So we would continue on reading the story, pointing out things. Who's that? Who knows who that is? And see how my tone of voice makes sure that I'm making this the most exciting thing in the room. Sometimes when children are sitting next to their friends, they really want to play with them because they love them and they get to see them and they're very exciting. So we have to make this the most exciting thing that's in the room. Who's that? Is that Mary? So the tone of voice that I'm using is exciting and engaging. We're going to keep going through the story, and you notice that my attention stays here and I continue to bring the attention back. One of the ways that young children learn is by example. And so as you can tell, I don't know if you can see in the video, but I'm actually sitting on the floor. Now, if you can't sit on the floor, you can sit in a chair, but this is the best way to teach young children because they follow your example. If you're standing up and telling them to sit down, they see you standing and it makes them want to stand too. It's definitely appropriate to stand while children are sitting as they enter elementary and middle school age, but for young children, they really feed off of your example. So for instance, when we close our hands to pray and we are washing our hands after or before snack, the more we do those things and lead by example, the more that they will do them as well. So that's how I would use the story. There's other ways of telling the story besides using a book. Sometimes you can find these toys that are more visual, and there's something that you can pass around or you can put out for playtime to kind of engage them in more of the story and use more of their senses. So I could just not use the book at all, especially if I have a group that's very fidgety and they need something more visual than just the pictures in the book. Or sometimes 2-year-olds do better with visuals rather than a story. So we could just say, Jesus' mommy was named Mary. What color is Mary's dress? Oh, and did you know that before Jesus was born, an angel came to Mary? Do you see the angel? Oh. So the tone of voice is still there. I'm still bringing everything back to the story that I'm telling. I'm keeping it very simple, and I'm using multiple senses. Now what I could do is, if I have a small group of children, I can let them all hold one as I tell the story. Or if I have too many children and not enough toys, what I want to do is save them and say, we can put these out later to play with. Something else for older children, again involving multiple senses, is if you can bring the story to life. So here I have some pretend hay that they could feel and you can pass around, and they can see what the hay was like inside the manger. I have a little baby Jesus here that they can practice laying in the manger, and this is just more ways to bring in the multiple senses. You can even theme your snack time so that it goes along with the story, which adds another sense to the multiple senses of learning. And I even have here a baby doll. So if I'm talking about baby Jesus, sometimes it helps to be able to hold and to feel and to talk about these things. It makes it stay in their memory more. And so those are all different ways that we can use to teach children. I'm also going to include with this video a sample lesson from beginning to end, but I wanted to cover first the 3 main ways that children learn, which is by example, by your tone of voice, and by using multiple senses. For infants that are younger than preschool age, we probably won't use a book. We can try to use the story props, or we can just sing songs. Jesus was born on Christmas Day. Jesus was born on Christmas Day. So those kinds of things will just get them engaged and hearing those words and getting familiar with that story before they can actually sit and pay attention and focus on the story. They can definitely touch these though, and they can play with them and they can feel them, and this is a great way to get babies involved in the story as well. So from infants all the way up through preschool, a Bible story is totally appropriate. And if you know the different ways of keeping that tone of voice engaging, using different props to bring in multiple senses, and showing them by your example, they can learn the Bible stories, these big abstract concepts we can bring down to these concrete stories for them to learn and build a foundation of the Bible.